So you were saying you met John Paul II.
Yes, I had a brain aneurysm when I was 14 and a half in 1992. And in 1993, the doctors told me there were still weak blood vessels in my head, and it could happen again at any time. Mom and Dad and I got to go to Rome to visit my brother Tony, who was a Marine embassy guard at the Vatican. And his best friend, the Swiss guard, was able to get us tickets to a papal audience. We sat in the third row of over tens of thousands of people. And at the end of his audience, he came down and blessed the first two rows real quickly.
And you said you claimed to see the Lord in him?
Yes, he came back to my row and stopped in front of me and said to my mother, "This is your daughter you've been praying for." And Mom said yes, and he said, "Tell me." So she quickly summed up that I had been...
Yeah, just tell me what you saw.
When I looked up, I seen the presence of the Lord in his eyes. And it was so beautiful.
And you're in John Paul II's eyes?
Yes.
And you're claiming that you've been healed by his touch?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's very interesting because it fits exactly with what is prophesied in the Bible and in Catholic prophecy about the false signs and wonders that will accompany the final spiritual deception. Are you familiar with what has occurred since Vatican II at all, or the changes or anything like that?
No.
Well, see, this is the problem. And you were saying that you don't believe in the dogma outside the church there is no salvation. Correct?
Correct.
Well, doesn't it bother you that you're denying something the church has infallibly taught?
No.
So you don't care about believing in Catholic teaching even though you claim to be Catholic?
I don't understand what you're saying.
In order to be a Catholic, you have to accept the official teachings of the church. If you don't, you're automatically excommunicated. Like if someone were to deny that Jesus is God, that person would incur an automatic excommunication.
I'm not denying Jesus.
No, I'm illustrating a point here, okay? That principle of automatic excommunication for denying a truth of faith applies to all of the infallibly defined truths of faith. Okay? Another example would be that Mary was immaculately conceived. Well, one of those truths of faith is outside the church there is no salvation. There's no point in being Catholic if you can be saved as a non-Catholic. And the church has taught that there's one true church, there's one true religion, and it's necessary to belong to it. And so the problem is that you don't accept that, at least at this time, and therefore you're demonstrating that you don't really care about Catholic teaching. And by not caring about Catholic teaching, you're saying that you don't care about what Christ really taught. Because what the Catholic Church teaches is what Christ taught. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so.
And this is the deception that's occurred with this Vatican II Church, that they've fallen away from the traditional faith, and they've been convinced that they're still somehow on the path to God by either false signs or wonders, or the church's externals, or buildings, and so forth. And that's what this information that we have.
I have to let you go. I need to go to sleep.
All right, well, were you interested in this material?
No.
They don't care at all about the Catholic faith. A classic example of the false signs and wonders deceiving these people. She receives not the love of the truth, therefore she falls hook, line, and sinker for the demonic deception of anti-Pope John Paul II. The evidence is overwhelming that he's the Antichrist. She sees the Lord in his eyes. But this lady is so of bad will. I was talking to her earlier. She didn't care at all about Catholic dogma. Totally deceived.